What's in a name? Just saying revolution, we evoke images. Google it, and it gets as close as it gets to what linguists define as connotation. Revolution is red, it has hands, mostly clenched in fists, it belongs to the streets and to the squares. Yet, once we crack the surface of connotations, we are introduced in a universe of transient meanings. It's the world of dictionaries, revealing the complex trajectories of words over centuries, and how humans go about revolutionizing not only society, but semantics too. So, this is the story of the word revolution. When it enters the English language in 1393, it simply means loop, a meaning now long lost. It then shifts towards change. It specializes into political change to branch into change in technology and science. It's a huge evolutionary enterprise where each step marks a revolution in the way we express and understand change. Yet, to understand how, we need to try to imagine a world without revolution. 90% of the English vocabulary comes from Latin and Greek, yet neither Latin nor Greek can translate revolution. The Latin res nove and the Greek neuterismos, literally new things, juxtapose innovation to tradition, dismissing the former and political change as disorder against the backdrop of the established order. Yet, sweeping political changes did happen in antiquity too, and Greek philosophers made sense of them as part of a cycle, anakyklosis, the same word that was used to describe the eternal circling of skies and the perpetual reincarnation of souls, one life after the other. And it's exactly to translate the latter that in the 5th century AD, St. Augustine takes the Latin verb revolvo, to return, and makes it into a name, revolutio. And the sound is born. 800 years later, an Italian monk, inspired by a solar eclipse, decides to translate Aristotle's astronomy from Greek, the language of scholars, into Italian, the language of the people. He steals Augustine's revolutio to translate anakyklosis, but it does so by Italianizing it. It becomes revoluzione. And soon, revolution leaves the spheres of speculations and dreams to enter real life. It's in Florence, roughly in the same period, when it's used to describe civic disorders. Now, revolution is not anymore a returning movement, but it's a twist in history. And it's in these two connotations, one is a loop and the other is a twist, that it enters French and English to be changed forever. Because between the 17th and 18th century, large-scale rebellions, the Glorious Revolution, the American Revolution, and the French Revolution make clear that political change is not just a twist in history, but it's a turning point. Revolutions don't just happen, they are made. And by gaining agencies, they gain trajectories. It's either in Rousseau's word, when kings become subjects and poor become rich, so a switch of opposites, or in Marx's understanding of revolution, a bottom-up movement of freedom, where the oppressed overcomes the oppressor. It's the latter understanding that enters the 19th and 20th century. The Hindi Kranti, the Arabic Torah, literally meaning rebellion, and the Chinese Genming, literally meaning transfer of mandate by divine will, are in fact used to describe huge wars of independence against foreign rulers. And by doing so, we translate them as revolution, but they have the taste of freedom. And because freedom and emancipation do mark new beginnings, there is a further layer to the word revolution. In the early 19th century, the Greek wars of independence against the Ottomans are called Epανάσταση. We translate it as revolution, but it literally means a new beginning. And not even 10 years ago, in the Middle East, revolution went by the name of spring. Yet to say that through the word revolution, political change goes from chaos, disorder to freedom is only to tell half of the story. Because in the early 19th century, revolution was used to describe a silent and yet not less radical change, a change in knowledge, science, technology, or culture. And a new verb is born, to revolutionize. Now, if we Google it, it looks very different from revolution. It's blue instead of red, it has screens instead of flags, and it's labs instead of squares. And this is the end of the talk. But it's not the end of the story. Because what semantic revolutions can teach us is that words are for us to be told. And it's not just the future revolutions to be in your hands, but the future of the word revolution too. So take this name and say it your own way.